Good morning. Welcome to Randy's Corner. I'm your host, Randy Clark. And before we get started with Chief Nate Osgood, we're going to talk about the Beautification Council Fall Porch of the Week. And the winner goes to Mackenzie McCorkle this week. What a beautiful porch. If you or someone you know wants to enter the Fall Porch of the Week, submit a picture to the Beautification Council Facebook page or call Kim at Broadway Spinal Care, and Tara, Kim, or Rosa will come take a picture of the porch. This contest is every week through March 18th and will be featured on Randy's Corner and the Sylacauga Beautification Council Facebook page. Now, it's National Fire Prevention Week, and since our first little cold snap came this past weekend, it's time to talk fire safety. And I know no one better qualified than Sylacauga Fire Chief Nate Osgood. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How about you?
It's great to be here.
Not only is it National Fire Prevention Week, it's also statewide red alert burn ban. Can we touch on that for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. They issued a fire alert because of the dry conditions that we've been having. You know, generally speaking, October is one of our drier months of the year. So I don't see that lifting anytime soon until we get a considerable amount of rain.
Right.
So basically, in addition to the ADEM air quality burn ban that's in effect through October 31st anyway,
Right.
now we've got an actual fire condition issue to worry about. So we're at a spot now where there really doesn't need to be any outside burning unless you're actually certified to do so and go through the Forestry Commission to get a burn ban, all that kind of stuff. or
Right,
burn
right.
permit.
And it's very important.
Yes.
I mean,
We're almost certain to see an uptick in the brush fires and grass fires throughout the whole area as the month moves on. It's just that's par for the course. But everything we can do for everybody to help us to keep that from happening, we're greatly appreciative of it.
Right. Okay. Now, so you got your props today, but we're going to dive into that in a few minutes. But first of all, could you tell the viewers how important it is to clean up your heaters and chimneys and wood burning heaters and
Right. Well, I mean, certainly the chimneys. You know, if you've got a wood burning fireplace or a wood burning heater, very important to keep those cleaned up before you use them the first time of the year. We will generally see a few chimney fires each year because of the buildup that happens over the years in your chimneys.
right. And space heaters.
Yes, space heaters are definitely something that we see that causes an issue year in and year out, especially like you said with the cold snap that we've got. You know, space heaters don't need to be plugged into a outlet strip or power strip.
Plug them right into the wall.
Plug them right into the wall.
Okay.
Because the surge protectors aren't meant to handle that kind of amperage. Keep them at least 3 feet away from any combustible materials. So piles of clothes on the floor, beds, curtains. Keep them 3 feet away, and then also make sure that you don't leave them on unattended. Use them to heat up the space. We don't want people to be cold, so we're not saying don't use space heaters.
Right.
It's just there's a way to use them responsibly and not. So, if you're in the space, turn them on, heat them up. I mean, I've got a couple around my house that we use, and then when you're done with them or you leave the area, cut them off so they're not running. That's right.
Don't leave them on and go to work.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay. Now, one thing I think people kind of maybe don't do this as much as they should. How about a safety plan for your house?
Yeah, absolutely. As I would say, even more important if you've got kids in the home. We do exit drills or fire drills at school.
Right.
Well, it's
why not do it at home?
More likely that you're going to have a fire at home.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with turning it into something fun for the kids and go, all right, well, get in bed and pretend like you're asleep, and we're going to set the smoke detector off, and this is how we're going to get out. So you can do the very same thing at home that they do at schools to have a fire drill, essentially.
Right. Now, since we're talking safety plans, let's talk about smoke detectors and fire extinguishers. Very important to check your smoke detectors this time of year.
That's right. So smoke detectors are, without a doubt, they are the #1 life-saving tool that we have in the event of a fire.
Right.
The number of fire deaths in houses with working smoke detectors versus without working smoke detectors is astronomical.
Okay.
So the smoke detectors are the #1 tool to save your life in the event of a fire.
Okay.
We always remind people who have smoke detectors that have the 9-volt batteries in them, change the batteries when the time changes, and that's coming up the first weekend in November.
Right.
So we're just about a month away from that.
Right.
So check your batteries in your smoke detectors, even if they're not beeping, even if you don't think they're dead. If the power goes out, you still want your smoke detectors to work.
Right.
And the a 9-volt battery is a awfully cheap expense to pay to make sure your smoke detectors are working.
Sure it is.
Now today we actually have smoke detectors that have 10-year batteries in them. So the 9-volt batteries are becoming a thing of the past.
Okay.
As time moves on. So if you go to Walmart or Home Depot today, you can buy smoke detectors just like this that say 10-year worry-free. And they've got a date code on them. And in 10 years, they start beeping to let you know they're end of life. And you throw them in the trash can and go spend $10 to buy a new one.
Right.
But you don't even have to worry about the 9-volt batteries in the new ones. But ones that are up in current houses, a lot of them do still have those 9-volt
But
batteries.
if you have an old smoke detector and it's working fine, you don't want to get a new one, you still need to change those 9-volt batteries.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, let's talk for a minute on fire extinguishers.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, a lot of people don't think about having a fire extinguisher in their home, and that's okay. There's other ways that you can go about being safe with fires without, in your home without having fire extinguishers. Of course, businesses are required to have them.
Right.
But again, it's a pretty cheap safety measure that you can have to stick one under, the cabinet under the sink. And they're not that expensive at Walmart or Home Depot. You can go buy a little fire extinguisher
Right.
to have there in the event that you have a stovetop fire or
You need one
some
by the
other
kitchen,
issue.
don't you?
It as long as you can remember where it is and you don't bury it into the back where you can't get to it.
Right.
You can reach down there and grab it and kind of get a head start on it and hopefully snuff it out before we show up and it turns into something bigger.
Right. Could you go into a little bit more detail and explain exactly what kind of fire extinguisher this is?
Yeah, so this is what we just call an ABC extinguisher, which is your standard all-purpose fire extinguisher.
It'll put out a grease fire on the stove, right?
It'll put out flammable liquids, it'll put out paper, it'll put out wood, it'll just basically put out almost anything that you're going to encounter in day-to-day life.
Right. Okay. Let's talk for just a minute, and I know this happens a lot. You probably deal with it a lot more than we hear about it. Grease fire on the stove.
Yeah.
And water.
Yeah.
They don't mix, right?
That's right. So to back up just a minute from there, cooking fires are absolutely our #1 cause of fires that we generally encounter in our area, and that can come from unattended cooking. You put something on the stove, you forget about it, you go outside, start talking to your neighbor, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, there's smoke coming out of your door. Of course, you mentioned grease fires. If you're frying something and you put the oil on, you forget about it, it gets too hot, it can catch on fire.
Right.
Or you put something frozen in there that has a lot of high water content, causes it to boil over, hit the burner, and catch on fire. Right. And like you said, oil and water don't mix. So if you go splashing a bunch of water or throwing a bunch of water onto a grease fire, you're going to make it flash and you're going to make it bigger. Yeah. One of the things I always recommend is if you are frying something or cooking with a significant amount of oil, pull a cookie sheet out of your cabinet and set it on the counter off to the side. You're not going to use it unless something happens. But rather than putting water on it, just take the cookie sheet, put it over the pot, and turn the burner off.
Right. It'll smother out.
And it smothers out because it doesn't have oxygen. Right. And leave it there and let it cool down. Like I said, turn the burner off, let it cool all the way down before you take it off, because if you take it off, it could reignite while it's still hot.
Right.
Let it cool down, crisis averted. So rather than trying to pour water on it, keep that cookie sheet there, put it over the top of the pot, let it smother out. You know, if you fry it, you know, your chicken wings or whatever you're cooking and everything goes great, you put your cookie sheet back in the cabinet, it's not even dirty.
Right.
But just have it there just in case.
Could save your house from burning down. Just that little tip right there.
Yeah, just little things.
This is not in my notes, and Thanksgiving's coming up. Could you mention for a minute on turkey fryers? I know they're.
That's right.
Let me tell you, Chief, I got a brother-in-law, and we always fry a bunch of turkeys and a bunch of chickens, and it never fails. He wants to bring a frozen one to the party. So could you touch a minute on the turkey fryer before Thanksgiving gets here?
That's right. So number one thing, don't do it on your back porch 2 feet away from the side and on the back of your house. You know, get it out away from things.
Get away from the house.
If something goes wrong, you're not going to burn your porch and your house down.
Right.
You know, so that's where I'd start with that.
Right.
Now, like you mentioned, obviously you do not want to fry anything that's frozen because of that high water content. So thaw it out. You know, make sure it's you know, take it out of the freezer 3 days ahead of time. Put it in the fridge. Let it completely thaw out. And then of course we all know you gotta be slow about it.
Right.
You know, you gotta be slow.
Right.
Don't just drop it all in there all at
No,
once.
you set it in there super slow.
Gotta be slow about it and methodical about it. I mean, anybody who's had a good fried turkey loves fried turkey.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. You just, again, got to do it safely.
Okay. Let me fall back to the smoke detectors one time. Could you talk about the placement of smoke detectors in your house?
Yep. So you want one in every bedroom.
Okay.
You want one outside of every sleeping area. So if you have a hallway that has 3 or 4 bedrooms coming off of it, you know, one in the hallway outside is one outside of every sleeping area.
Right.
And then you want at least one on every level of your home.
Okay.
You know, we don't recommend putting them in the kitchen.
Right.
You know, because you're going to set it off, you know, with just a little bit of smoke or steam or something like that.
But just outside the kitchen, right?
Well,
in the hallway or something. You know?
again, really, it's the bedrooms and the sleeping areas is what we're really concerned about.
Okay.
That because these are designed to wake you up when you're asleep.
Right.
At the end of the day.
And they will save lives.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I know this might sound like a silly question, but in what case should you not try to fight a fire?
Well, I mean, anytime that it's large enough, hot enough, smoky enough that you know you can't either stand to be near it or the smoke is you know choking you down, and those are immediate signs to get out of the house and call 911.
Right.
You know, even if you're gonna try to knock it back or keep it at bay until the fire department gets there, somebody's got to get us coming.
That's right.
So
the main thing is 911 first, right?
That's it. So
Yeah.
so somebody's got to call 911 and let us know there's a problem so that we can be coming. But yes, and then you know to follow that up, if the fire is so large that it's going to block your exit, something like that, you know, you can't stay in there for that.
Right.
Things can be replaced, people's lives can't.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. And one thing I want to talk about, since I mentioned that, could you explain what the expression drop and crawl means?
Yeah, well, so the basics of egressing your home in the event of a fire. You know, you're going to have the smoke, you're going to have the thermal layer, you're going to have the heat, and all that's going to be higher. And it's just like we teach kids, our catchphrase in the schools is get low and go.
Right.
You know, so get down on your hands and knees, get under that thermal layer, get out. You know, you don't want to be breathing in that smoke. You don't want to be breathing in the heat. You want to be under that where the freshest, cleanest air is, and get yourself out as quickly as possible, whether that's a door, whether that's a window, whether that's whatever.
Right. Chief, the reason I mentioned that, you hear so many on TV, you hear so many people talking about they died from smoking.
Mm-hmm.
So drop and crawl.
That's right. Yep. And the smoke will absolutely get to you before the fire does.
Okay. Anything else you want to touch on this morning, Chief? We're about out of time.
I think that's the bulk of it. You know, space heaters coming in this time of year. Make sure we're using those responsibly. Make sure you got working smoke detectors in your home. Change the batteries if the batteries need to be changed. And just be safe. And I guess one more thing heading into the holiday season, as people are getting their Christmas trees, their live Christmas trees, make sure to keep your Christmas trees watered. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal, isn't it?
Those Christmas trees, when they dry out,
They do dry out fast too.
they do. So, you know, of course, we never want anybody to not have fun or not enjoy the things there are to enjoy in life. We just want you to be safe while you're doing it.
That's right. Thank you so much, Chief, for coming in. Sylacauga Fire Chief Nate Osgood with some great tips this morning. It's National Fire Prevention Week. And thank you so much for coming in. We'll see you next week.